that I have come to realize in life is God doesn't always have to answer the way I want him to answer me. And God always doesn't have to respond the way that I want him to respond to my needs. Over the last 6 months, I just went through a difficult patch. There were things happening in my life, things happening in my family that I had no control over. But I remember that whilst I was praying for God to deal with the situation for me and come through for me, one of the things that I kept doing was expecting God to come through for me in a particular way. I kept saying, God, you've got to let this happen. I'm believing you for a miracle. You've got to turn around the facts and into a miracle. And you've got to do it this way. You've got to do it that way. But I tell you, God never did it any way that I wanted it to do. Because for me, I wanted it to be over in a month, in a few days, in a few hours. I just wanted the story, the narrative to change so quickly. But God never did any of that for me. God did it the way he wanted to. And I remember one of the days when things had become very tough for me. And I remember crying and saying, but God, why? Am I not doing enough? And sometimes we become self-righteous, and sometimes we think that we are doing enough for the kingdom. And sometimes we think that, God, but you're giving me this assignment and I have performed it. You told me to go to that country and I've been, and you told me to give here and I've done it. And why can't you do this for me this way? And why can't you do it? And why is it taking so long? And after moaning and moaning, I fell asleep. And I had a dream. And in the dream, I heard loud and clear where God says, do not question me again. Don't ask me any questions. If you trust me, then leave me to resolve it the way I have destined to resolve it. And I remember waking up because I was in a retreat, leading a retreat for a group of 18 to 20 businessmen and women. And so we had taken a break when I went into my room and had all this meltdown, and then God spoke. And I remember on that evening I was supposed to lead praise. And that was the direction of my prayer. That God help me not to question you again. And I began to encourage the saints and say, I know that we all go through stuff and we all want God to do it in a particular way, but God will do it his own way. And that is the power of trusting in God and having faith in him that he's going to do it. And saints, I stopped questioning God. And 6 months into the start of all this conundrum and all these difficulties and struggle, God came through. But he came through how he wanted to come through. I thought that journeying for 6 months was going to be too much. But God came through how he wanted to. So sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, we must just respect how God is going to do it. We must pray that the will of God be done on earth as it is in heaven. What is God's will concerning the matter? What is God's plan concerning the matter? That is what you've got to pray through. You don't necessarily have to pray through what you want to be done. And so many times God is coming in and giving us answers. But because the answers are not in the way that we want it to be, we are not listening and we are not paying attention to God. And so living my best life 2025, I just want to encourage anyone that is in a situation, in a crisis, in a challenge, in a difficult place, that allow God to be God and you be God, and just be patient and wait on him and let God respond how he knows it best. Because in hindsight, I understand why. And you will understand why in hindsight. God bless you.